If you have trouble learning or accepting new things, this video is for you. Yeah, I'm 29 years old and I am still learning new things every day. And I assume that when I'm 60 or 70, there'll still be things to learn. First of all, like the world is constantly changing. The world is constantly evolving. And as people, we're constantly growing, or we should be. We should be growing and learning and evolving and whatnot if we want to prosper, succeed, and grow in life and whatnot. And I feel like everyone should. I will admit that I have experience with people who don't seemingly don't grow. Like I don't it's tricky because that's again, even with the experience of people that seemingly don't seem to grow, like that it's always a negative experience with someone. Let's say someone is 30 but they act like they did when they were 15. You know what I mean? um I don't see that ever, like, and don't get me wrong, you should always stay youthful. Like, it's always good to stay youthful and connected to your inner child. But at some point, you gotta, I would suggest or advise you're like to try to grow. You know what I mean? Like, I don't I'm not the same person I was when I was 15. Sometimes I struggle remembering who I was when I was that young. Because I'm like constantly trying to grow, trying to build, and like maybe in some way it's to a detriment because I'm not as connected as I was to my younger self. But I also have kids, so it's like I get to enjoy them as at their younger stages. You know what I mean? So, um, but yeah, in my opinion, growing is better than staying stagnant, if that makes sense. And and I would love to, if someone has a point that they would like to share, that staying stagnant or staying like in a teenage or a early 20s mindset is a good thing. I would for sure feel free to comment and give me that perspective. But I think it is advantageous to keep learning. Like, I haven't been in school in about 10 years, maybe 9 or 10 years and whatnot, but I'm constantly learning things on YouTube or TikTok or people, through people, like meeting people and talking to people and hearing their perspectives and whatnot. Like, I feel like last year I learned a lot about women, not everything there is to know about women, but just hearing their perspectives, that alone you can learn a lot about people, but women specifically, and what they go through as women and whatnot. Um, and even like, just that's what I'm saying. So it's like you don't even like keep the advice to keep learning is not even necessarily like you need to go to school for 30 years or 20 years or whatever the case may be. But no, like, have an open mind to learn from any and everybody. Like, even someone that you might think may be at a lower point in life than you may have some value to give, as far as knowledge or as far as wisdom or as far as advice, or something you just didn't know, you weren't privy to. um I know that Will Smith is one of my idols, and he's always talking about growing and learning, and all the books he reads and different things of that nature. So and he's a great example. Excuse me. He's a great example of, like, he's not the same guy he was on Fresh Prince of Bel Air, not by a long shot. He's like Uncle Phil's age or whatever now, but he's still down to learn. You can see in his social media that he's adapting. He's from the 90s, the 80s, and he's adapting to TikTok. Like, he's adapted to TikTok. He's adapted to, uh, um, I think the word is converging. It's something like that. It's transitioning followers into consumers. You know what I mean? But that's a whole different topic. That's like a marketing business topic. But he's understanding um, that social media is a big part of being successful in this day and age. And that took learning. Like, he's super successful and he's still learning. Kevin Hart is another one of my idols. Kevin Hart is understands and sees that Kai Cenat is doing incredibly well for what he does. And he knows that he's a Kevin Hart, as funny as he is, he's a crazy businessman, like a super smart businessman. And that takes learning. Like, you don't wake up one day and you're a great businessman. Like, you have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to have an open mind. And I think this goes for business, but this also goes for relationships. Um, and I think relationships, they're both important. Business and relationships are both important. Um, but I feel like even in relationships, there's a different side of this where you can always learn. Like, say you're in a relationship, you can always learn more about your partner. Like, and even when your partner may be getting on your nerves, you can learn something in that. Like, why is she or why is he like this in this way? And what can I do to help, if anything? You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's very interesting when you break it down and you sit back and like have an open mind to things. Um, and I think that as a society, we could all benefit in having an open mind to things. Not to get political, but one thing that is being discussed heavily is Donald Trump seeing the guy's tattoos on his hands, and Donald Trump was like adamant that there was MS-13, like the literal letters MS-13 on the guy's hands, like tattooed on the guy's hands, when he was, excuse me, when it was obviously photoshopped. And it's like that's a clear example of not having an open mind. Like, yes, you excuse me, you can see, we can all see that there's MS-13 on the hands, but if you give it like even an inch of an open mind, you can see that it's clearly photoshopped. But again, that's another story for another time. Um, but yeah, like I said, in business, it would help to have it is advantageous to have an open mind and be willing to keep learning. In relationships, whether it's a relationship like a significant other, or it's a relationship with your brother or sister or cousin or mother or father or grandparent, like it's beneficial to have an open mind and to keep learning new things about the person. Um, so yeah, just don't. I feel like it's between the ages, I want to say 15, 16, and maybe like 22, 23, where we feel like we got it all figured out. But even that, like, I feel like it's a popular thing going around that the frontal lobe of your brain isn't fully developed until you're 25. I'm no brain specialist, but so I don't know what the frontal lobe even does. But clearly, if that's something that's being said, like, or not that's something just because that's something that's being said, but if that's not fully developed, I'm sure I could look it up and keep learning after this. But if that's not fully developed by 25, like, clearly you have a lot more, like, you don't have it all figured out by 23 or 15 or 16 or 18 or whatever, you know what I mean? Some of us don't even have it figured out by like 40 or 50, you know what I mean? So just do your best to keep learning and keep growing and keep evolving, because it can only help you in the long run. Also, I said this in another one of my videos, this is one of those things that doesn't only just help you, but it helps the people that you're close to. Because if you keep learning, that means you can not only learn from others but teach others. You know what I mean? And inspire others, and the same way, and the same vice versa. Like, I'm inspired every day by artists, by different artists, um and just different people. Different people motivate me. Business people, artists, musicians, creatives. Different people motivate me every day, um, to keep me motivated and inspired and determined and driven and whatnot. So not only does learning help you, but it helps others, the people that are close to you and whatnot. Um, so yeah, hopefully this helps. If you, what's it called? If this helped you, let me know in the comments. And if you have any stories that relate to the video, please let me know in the comments. I would love to talk to you guys in the comments and figure out, like, to and learn something from you guys. So hopefully this helps. Hey, if you guys like this video, make sure you check out these videos where we talk more about music, dating, and real life situations. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Make sure you check out these videos and make sure you subscribe. Peace.